Welcome back to Daily Persuasion. Have you noticed headlines don't make any sense? Now, that's not to say that when you read a headline in the news, whether you're checking your favorite social media app, I like X, aka Twitter, or you're checking whatever default headlines are built into your computer or to your smartphone, or you're going to a cable news channel. They don't make any sense. Now, if you read each of them, they make sense. But the more you read, the less sense it makes. I'm going to give you an example of this. Headlines today from AP News. Russia returns 500 dead soldiers to Ukraine as world leaders mull next steps. What does that sound like to you? That sounds like Ukraine is having a hard time. That's a lot. That's a lot. But then we go over to The Guardian. Same story, topic rather, same day. France's foreign minister pledges support for Ukraine, in quotes, victory plan. Headlines don't make any sense. My friend Michael Guimarin often speaks about sensemaking. Turn it around, making sense. Meaning, what's going on in the world that impacts not you personally, but what's going on in the world that if learning more about it would cause you to change your behavior. And if learning more about topic ABC or subject XYZ would cause you to change your behavior, then you learn more. You look into it. And if it doesn't, if it won't, then you don't care. So I want to ask you this. Does trying to reconcile the differences between the AP News story and the Guardian story, if reconciling those differences, learning the truth of the matter, is that going to change your behavior? Is it going to cause you to make a different decision from what you're doing now or would have done it anyway? This is the point that Michael Guimarin likes to make. He's a great follow on X, by the way. Guimarin, Michael Guimarin. Now, I don't think that it does learning more about this. People who are trying to learn persuasion, influence for their career, for bettering their business, for marketing, sales, personal influence, branding, dating, marital satisfaction, parenting. There's any number of reasons to want to learn persuasion. So we are not going to look further into these. And the reason we're not going to look further into these is to try to find out, well, what's real? What's the Ukraine victory plan? What do I think about it? What opinion should I have on it? What's really going on? Why is AP News sour on the future of Ukraine? They're mulling next steps, meaning they're really thinking about it. It's a tough call. We're talking about a victory plan at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. Is learning the truth of the matter going to change your decision? No, probably not. The vast majority of you, it's not. So, do what Michael Guimarin recommends, which is go on an info diet. Cleanse your information environment from subjects and topics, thinking that are not going to serve you in any way, shape, or form. Now, I mentioned persuasion a couple of times. I've opened that loop and I haven't closed it, which I'm going to do so right now. Persuasion is difficult because it combines the obvious and the non-obvious, the objective and the subjective, the sane and the chaotic. All of those things are all happening all at once in the world of professional persuasion and also personal and interpersonal persuasion. It will come easier to you if you are not stuffing your mind, if you're not over-consuming information and data points that have no bearing on not on your life, have no bearing on your decision making and on making different choices, on changing your behavior in any way, shape, or form. By going on an info diet, you will find yourself more easily able to satisfy yourself with nutritious information. Meaning, what is, if anything, is potentially going to, by learning more about it, alter your behavior in some way in the future relative to the status quo decisions, or what you would have done anyway, or habits, or anything like that. There's a phrase that if you know more, you do more. If you know better, you do better, right? Well, that's not true for most news. This might be the most helpful video a few of you have watched this week, because it reveals to you that you don't need to watch other videos. You don't need to see what's going on in the headlines. You don't need to educate yourself. You don't need to keep up with what's happening unless it's or pertains to your job. Most people I have found are busy focusing on political news or what's happening in the world for the sake of it, because the job to be done is something like be an informed citizen or something like that. You already know who you're going to vote for. So learning more is not going to change your behavior. It's really not. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. So as you cleanse from your information diet, stories, habits of consuming news that no longer serve you, you're going to find it easier to do two things. Number one, you're going to find it easier to note and notice information and consume information that will, by learning it, likely change your behavior in the future. That will become obvious to you. So I'm not going to click any of these headlines. I'm not going to read through it personally. Oh, wow. What did Mark Cuban do to mock Trump? Go the Guimarin way. Is clicking this and reading this going to at all change my behavior in any way? Oh, probably not. Well, what if it did? What subject would it be, or topic, or no? U.S. is investigating unauthorized release of classified documents relating to Iran and Israel. I need to click and I need to learn more to be a concerned citizen. What? Really? Really? I mentioned two reasons moments ago. The second reason is, as you are cleansing your plate by not putting things on it in the first place, you're keeping a clean plate. Those news stories and those subjects and those topics that do matter to you immensely and intensely, they'll find their way to you 100% of the time. By people in your network, people locally, clients, employers, employees, people in your network, they will tell you if it's important. They will tell you if there's an important story that affects you personally. And by that, I specifically mean it will alter your behavior. It will make you change your decision. When you know better, you do better. But only if it's something that you're going to do anyway. Consuming news for the sake of being an informed consumer. And I like to think of myself as, I joke that there are these people in our society called NPR Americans. There's a little hyphen right there. NPR Americans. The NPR American is someone who likes to think of themselves as being updated by the official sources, kept up to speed by the credible news media. And they will say things like, well, NPR has always been reliable. They just do their best. The New York Times is the paper of record. This is what they say. So it's about identity. It's not about information at all when you understand this. All warfare is based on deception, Sun Tzu said. That also includes information warfare. People are deceived into thinking they need to be informed by expert sources. No, you don't. I don't want to be a low information voter, right? That's the alternative. It is manipulation. It is about identity. Well, I want to be a low information voter. I don't want that to be my identity because that feels bad. That feels shameful. And someone who is low disagreeableness, low testosterone, high empathy, that is going to work on them. You probably know what I'm about to say next, so let's just pretend that I said it, and we'll just skip to the next part, which is, instead of focusing on world news, world events, political headlines, being informed on that matter, you probably have no idea what's going on in your industry. Most people don't. Most people do not read their industry publications to find out what's going on, what's coming around the corner. If you simply, instead of, wow, what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran? What did Trump say? Oh, wow. Oh, there's a rally. Oh, wow. I can see this viral clip. Haha, that's funny. Okay, you need to be informed. Instead, what are the top 3, 4, 5 blogs, newsletters, podcasts that are in your industry? So for example, I'm in the ghostwriting space, obviously, book publishing. So I'm a user of Publishers Marketplace, Publishers Lunch, which is a daily 5-day-a-week newsletter, all happenings inside the publishing industry. And there are a few opinion editorial columns that I follow on the book publishing industry, as well as companies, publishing services companies that have newsletters, so I can find out what's going on. Even though I have become, according to The Guardian, I am the ghostwriter for right-wing influencers. Probably true. And then, by the way, The Guardian tried to write a hit piece about me a few days ago, and then they ended up writing a commercial for me, a 2-paragraph commercial. They say Joshua is the world's only certified ghostwriter and certified hypnotist, and his process is called hypno writing, where he introduces hypnotic techniques into his writing. That's a hit piece. They are so bad at this. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, coming back to this, what are the top podcasts, blogs, emails, in newsletters, websites, sources in your industry about what's going on in your industry, about the news? And it's not sexy. It's not as exciting. It's not probably as divisive even as politics. But remember what Michael Guimarin says with the information space, your information diet? Is learning about this going to possibly change your behavior? Learning about what's changing in your industry, new laws affecting your industry, yeah, that will likely change your behavior. If you found out that AI is creeping into your space, okay, in what ways? What applications? What features? What platforms? Such and such app launched in your industry and gained 200,000 users within 48 hours, let's say. And it's a $49 a month software for personal, and it's $29 a head for organizations. And it does for $49 what you charge $4,900 a month to do as a service. Is learning about that going to change your behavior? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Now, how do we work daily persuasion into this? Well, I am attempting first and foremost to persuade you to reject clicking headlines if the story itself does not impact what decisions you're going to make in the future. Specifically, doing it differently than you would have by default or by instinct or by habit. Then there's no use for it. As a result of going on this information diet, curating your information nutrition, let's say, you will find yourself being more persuasive because you go from consuming primarily to creating primarily. You can finally sit alone and at peace without stuffing yourself. You can finally digest everything you've taken in and that you are taking in. Now, one of the reasons people watch this show is because they do want to have different behavior in the future. You do want to make different decisions with regard to how you persuade, how you influence, how you market, how you sell. Some of you don't want to make any changes because you're happy with it. So you probably shouldn't be watching the show if you're not going to change your decisions, right? One of the shows that I do watch is Coffee with Scott Adams. Why do I watch Coffee with Scott Adams? Because number one, he regularly drops micro lessons and he teaches how to think, which I find to be a useful skill applicable to many areas of life. And I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know what his take is going to be. I don't know what his opinion is going to be on every single issue, which is rare. That's so rare in any space. And then he reasons out loud why he thinks he is taking that position. And so the way I learn how to talk about difficult subjects from him changes how I am going to be talking about those decisions. That's why I watch the show. Headlines don't really matter. News doesn't really matter. And understand that if someone says the risk is being a low information voter, that is identity-based manipulation, you're not going to fall for it because you are not a low testosterone, low IQ empath.